Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the Echols Unlimited podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Echols. Today we have a short and sweet episode. Today I just want to talk about the top 10 players in the NBA, my current list of the top 10 players. Gonna get right into it. NBA season is around the corner. Excited for training camp to start up and for the season to get going. I feel like this is going to be one of the better seasons we've had in a long time. Just because we have stars who are coming back from injuries. We have, more players and teams realigning. Donovan Mitchell just got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, so I'm excited to see that. We had a lot of drama this offseason with Kevin Durant, asking for that trade, the whole Westbrook situation, the Kyrie situation, the Miles Bridges situation. So all that stuff is still getting figured out. As an avid NBA fan, as a huge NBA fan, I am looking forward to seeing, just how much talent we have. Guys like Kawhi Leonard coming back into the fold, Damian Lillard coming back, Bradley Beal, guys like top tier players coming back from injuries and coming back to play. And I'm excited to see all of that. So I'm going to get right into my list. I'm going to start off from 10 and go all the way down to 1. So at number 10 for my top 10 best players in the NBA, I have Jimmy Butler, who averaged 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists last year for the Miami Heat, leading them all the way to a number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, as well as to Eastern Conference Finals appearance, where they took the Boston Celtics to a Game 7. And the thing about Jimmy Butler is, he's not the top 10 player. He's not a top 10 player in the league because of his stats. His stats aren't that impressive. The 21, 6, and 6 is very, very good that's an all-star caliber player. But I think these top 10 guys are all considered superstars to me. Like bona fide superstars, can take a team to a championship, no questions asked. But I think Jimmy Butler is severely underrated because of the fact that his stats aren't that impressive, plays on a really deep team in Miami, and he's a guy that likes to play with within the system that the team already has and doesn't like to create a system for himself. So you look at his 2020 finals performance, his 2020 whole entire playoffs performance in the bubble, absolutely unbelievable. Took a young team in Miami all the way to Game 6 of the finals versus LeBron and Anthony Davis, who just proved to be too much for him in the end. But his 2020 finals performance and his 2022 Eastern Conference Finals performance is enough to get him on this list, just because the man is different. He has an unbeatable work ethic. He has an unbeatable drive. He's an unbelievable competitor, and I think he deserves recognition as a top 10 player in the league, just because of how much of a true leader he is. He's a true leader, and he plays on the deepest team in the NBA, in my opinion. Last season, the Miami Heat were by far the deepest team. Had about 6 different guys who could start at the wing positions for them. So you look at a team like that with Tyler Hero, who ended up winning 6th Man of the Year. You see a team that has a lot of potential going forward. I wish they got a trade done, whether it was for Kevin Durant or Donovan Mitchell. They didn't, and they actually lost PJ Tucker to my 76ers. So we'll see what happens with them this year. But Jimmy Butler, top 10 player in the NBA, number 10. All right, so next on my list, we have at number 9, Damian Lillard, who averaged in only 29 games last year, 24 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and 7.5 assists per game. Just solid player. It's too bad that he lost, CJ McCollum last season. I thought they were, a dynamic duo and a great backcourt, and I know they're good friends off the court, and I know they're going to continue to be good friends now that CJ's down in New Orleans. So, all the best of luck to CJ. He's one of my favorite players. That video coming out soon as well. But yeah, Dame is just that guy. He's another guy whose playoff performances speak for itself. And you're going to see a running theme throughout here is I really do value how well a player plays in the playoffs. I think that's the most important part of the season, and I think that's when a team needs to be at its best and the players need to be at their best. I think a guy like Damian Lillard and his ability to, hit clutch shots in playoff scenarios and be that kind of guy who's a leader and just can one man show it and will his team to victories, especially in crunch time. I remember his bubble performance to get them in to even the play-in in the bubble was unbelievable. And then you look at his game winner against Houston back earlier in his career, and then against OKC a couple years ago over Paul George. He's just a different type of player. I'm excited to see what Portland ends up doing with him. I don't think they're gonna be at the top of the NBA like they have. I don't think they're gonna be even a playoff team like they have been the past few years before this season. They got some young guys there. They got some guys with promise. I like Anthony Simons a lot, but I just don't think they have the depth or the talent to make it far in the playoffs. But Damian Lillard, top 10 player, probably. You could put him anywhere between 7 and 10 as far as players go in the NBA. I think he's the best player in the NBA that hasn't won. He's one of the best players in the NBA that hasn't won a ring or an MVP yet. So I think there's maybe 2 or 3 guys you could put in that category who haven't won a ring or an MVP. And Dame Lillard, and who are, top tier superstar players, and Dame Lillard is definitely one of those guys. Next on my list, I have the 2-time reigning NBA MVP, Nikola Jokic. He's number 8 on my list, and his 2021-22 stats were unbelievable. 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists per game at 7 feet tall, not very athletic, just super skilled basketball player. And I really think he's got, some potential to be, one of the best players of all time, just based on, where he is in his career, the team he's on, the organization he's in, the young budding superstars that he has around him, and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And I think just the Nuggets just keep adding more to their arsenal. And, you got guys like Aaron Gordon there who, probably could be a number 2 or number 3 on a high level team. But, here he is the 4th, 5th guy on a Nuggets team that's just, is deep, has a great coach, Mike Malone. I think that Nikola Jokic he's deserving of his 2 MVPs, even though I'm an Embiid fan, I'm a Sixers fan. But, the numbers speak for itself. I think, he can improve his play in the playoffs, but we'll see how that he does when he has a supporting cast around him. We saw him come back from 3-1 twice in the bubble, so I'm excited to see what Jamal Murray coming back, what he can bring, and Michael Porter Jr. coming back, what he can bring as well. And I respect Jokic, and I respect the fact that he's worked on his game and he's worked on his body in order to get to this elite level. And I hope he keeps playing that way. I think he inspires Embiid. I think he pushes Embiid to want to be better and want to do better. And I think, Jokic being great is just going to make Embiid greater. And, the two of them just running the NBA and showing the NBA that, the big men aren't obsolete, that big men can be skilled, that big men can be number 1 players on, top 5 NBA teams is truly impressive. And I'm truly, grateful to be able to watch this era of the NBA and see a guy like Nikola Jokic dominate the game. Number 7. Okay, so this is probably going to be controversial that I put Joel Embiid above Nikola Jokic at number 7. But I mean, hey, I'm a Sixers fan. I think he's better. I think, just overall game is better than Jokic. Jokic is obviously a great offensive player, but Embiid just brings it on both sides of the ball. He's a true leader. He's dedicated to the city of Philadelphia, and he's very true to himself. So I may be biased, but 31 points a game, 12 rebounds a game, 4 assists per game, and 1.5 blocks a game speaks for itself. Joel Embiid is more than deserving of the past 2 MVP awards, and more than deserving of the number 7 ranking in the top 10 players in the NBA right now. I think that he's a true soldier. He has a good heart. He puts his all into helping the Sixers organization win, into being a true competitor, and I think you all saw that, and we all saw that in the in the 2019 playoffs when, the Sixers had a chance. They had a shot to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and, Kawhi Leonard hits an amazing shot. You'll hear his name coming up on this list. And, it was heartbreaking for me as a Sixers fan, but, I was glad to see, how much it meant to Joel Embiid. All right, so next up on my list is the one and only Mr. Kawhi Leonard. His 2020 and 2021 stats, because he didn't play last year, were 25 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, and 5 assists a game, on 1.5 steals per game as well. People forget that he is probably the best two-way player from a perimeter player standpoint in the NBA. He's dynamic. He stays in front of guys. He's a pest. He can, get steals. He can, get stops. He plays great help team defense, gets in passing lanes. People forget, he just has the physical gifts of a lockdown defender. Big hands, long arms, strong body, athletic frame at 6'7". He can guard, 4 or 5 positions on the court, no problem at all. And, just his tenacity. And people forget about, since he's such a low energy, low killed guy, he does give a lot of effort on the court. It may look different because he's more robotic with his approach, but, he does give a lot of effort, and he is a very highly skilled basketball player. I think that the improvements he's made offensively, especially as a mid-range shooter, his pull-up jump shot, and, just his ability to hit a higher volume of threes. He still doesn't take a whole lot, but mid-range game is fluid, it's solid. And the one thing that I love most about Kawhi Leonard is his personality. I think that he's true to himself. I think that he doesn't give people too much. I think that he is just, a goofy, funny guy. Like he said, I'm a fun guy, while also just is very private, very to himself, and very low key. And I think that, he doesn't want to build a giant, social media presence and social media brand for himself like a lot of current NBA players do. And nothing against them for that. But he is, strictly about basketball, strictly about business. He wants to make money. He does have, different business ventures as well. And, he got some brand partnerships that he works on, and he's in commercials and does all that stuff. But, you see that he's just about his basketball, his family, and his business. And, that is truly, truly respectable and commendable. I really do like watching Kawhi Leonard. And I think his 2019 run in the playoffs, even though he broke my heart in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semis, was probably the second or third best playoff run I had ever seen, with just the cherry on top, ending the Golden State dynasty, or so we thought at the time, and ending Kevin Durant's time with Golden State in the NBA Finals and bringing the championship to Toronto was unbelievable to watch. I cannot state enough how impressive he was in that entire run. So yeah, Kawhi Leonard at number 6. And so at number 5, I'm going to have to go with Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is that guy. He's truly just coming to the NBA and just been that guy from day one. You haven't really seen much improvement in him because he's just been that good since day one. And I think that, Luka averaging 28, 9, and 9 last year is just, what we're going to have to get used to. This guy can score 30 points a game while also getting double digits in rebounds and assists. And, I think he's just an elite playoff performer. We saw it last year. We see it this year. We saw it when they're in the bubble and he hit that game winner against the Clippers on Kawhi, I think. And, we saw it this year. Going up against Utah, going up against Phoenix, and taking on the Warriors, basically head on in the Western Conference Finals was, just a truly impressive thing. Especially because of the fact that Jalen Brunson was his number 2 player. I really like Jalen Brunson. I think he's a really good player. I think Jalen Brunson is a number 3 or number 4 on a championship caliber team. But having him as his number 2, and the fact that they play the same position, that's got to be hard. That's got to be difficult to deal with, who's getting what touches, and, both guys got to be able to contribute. And the fact that they were able to get that far in Luka's fourth year in the league is, just something that I thought was truly impressive and definitely worthy of a top five player in the league performance. I think he'll be top three in the league very soon. As LeBron gets older, as Steph gets older, as Kevin Durant gets older, it's going to be, Luka and a couple of these other guys that I have on this list who are just going to, keep inching their way up into that top one, top two, top three positioning for best player in the league. And I think that adding Christian Wood to the Dallas Mavericks was a great signing, a dynamic forward who can, he can play the four, he can stretch the floor. He's, best suited when he's playing the five and he's able to handle the ball at the top of the key, get to the rim. But I think Christian Wood was definitely a good pickup for the Dallas Mavericks. I think they need to improve their wings. If they're able to get, just one all-star caliber guy to play the wing position and Tim Hardaway Jr. comes back, I think they can be, a top five team in the West, top five team in the league even. Luka Doncic is that good, and I think he has the potential to be an all-time great or when it's all said and done. So at number 4, I have the man himself, the chef himself, Stephen Curry. It was hard to decide. I think 2 through 4, you'll see these next couple of guys that I pick for 3 and number 2. Any of these guys can be switched. You can have them in any order. And Steph just got the luck of the draw and ended up in number 3. His last season stats, he was 25 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, 6 assists, even though he was a finals MVP and he won his 4th NBA championship. You cannot let that go unnoticed, as well as the fact that he is the first player to win a unanimous MVP award. That was in 2016, when the man just couldn't miss. And the Warriors were literally the best team I've ever seen, the best regular season team I have ever seen. And yeah, Steph, we all know about him. He's the greatest shooter of all time. He just passed Ray Allen to officially become the number one in three-pointers made in a career, and he probably has like 3 or 4 or 5 seasons left of high-level play. Just with his style of play and his age, I think he'll be able to regress very slowly and go into. And I don't even think he's regressing yet. So, we'll see when he reaches his peak. We'll see when he reaches his point of regression. So I think, Steph is definitely at least the top 12 player of all time. I think, you can't make a list of the 25 greatest players of all time and not put Steph on anything under number 12 just because of, his resume. Being the greatest shooter of all time, having the 4 championships, having the 1 finals MVP, having the 2 MVPs, the unanimous MVP, you just can't. And I think, he's going to have a great year, and I'm excited to watch him play and see how the Warriors, go after it this year. James Wiseman's coming back. That's going to be dangerous, especially because they got young guys on the roster who we forget. They got young guys who are high draft picks. Andrew Wiggins is not necessarily a young guy, but he was a high draft pick. There's a reason why they brought him in. There's a reason why they drafted James Wiseman. There's a reason why, they still got guys like Clay and Draymond, who I think are both severely underrated and will show you this year why they are also all-stars and Hall of Famers as well this coming season. So Steph Curry at number 4. And now at number 3, I have the greatest player of all time, the number 1 player in NBA history. There's no question about the fact that he is the best overall all-around player in the history of the league, and that's LeBron James, number 3 best player in the league right now, going into his 20th season in the NBA. He will pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar this year after averaging 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists a game at the age of 37. So, he's only getting better. I think LeBron has just been scary since the day he got into the league. He's, been my favorite player since I started following basketball and started paying attention to the NBA. So, I might be a little biased there, but The man has just, dominated since day one, never gotten in trouble, always done the right thing. He just led the league in assists per game a couple seasons ago. He also, just won a championship a couple seasons ago. So I think, if the Lakers are able to put it all together with him, Westbrook, Anthony Davis, I know they just signed Thomas Bryant, who will be a solid piece. I know they just signed Patrick Beverley. Not a huge fan of him, but I know he'll be a solid piece. As well as, they've got some other guys in there. So I think the Lakers, I'm not sure if they'll win another championship. LeBron might have to go back to Cleveland to do that again. We'll see what happens with the whole Bronny situation. I hope, he gets a chance to play with him in the league. And, LeBron is just, I don't really have to say much in terms of the fact that he's a top 3 player in the league right now. And he's, unanimously, undebatably a top 3 player of all time. I think he's number 1. If you think he's number 2 or 3, that's fine. Go ahead, have your opinions. We can discuss, we can argue, we can debate. But it's all in good fun, and it's all nice to just have that debate and talk about it. I think he's his highlights, his stats, everything just speaks for itself. It's unbelievable what this man has been able to do in his 20 seasons in the league. So at number 2, I have the guy that just rescinded his trade request earlier last month, and Kevin Wayne Durant. Probably has one of the best sneaker lines out in the sneaker lines in Nike history. I love playing in his shoes, but as cool as his shoes are, I think they're just a small piece in what has made him 30 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and 6.5 assists per game last season. As the number 1 guy in Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving, they have a ton of talent on that team. They have a ton of potential, a ton of experience, and they just have not been able to put it all together. Love the guys that they have on that team, Joe Harris, Seth Curry. So hopefully they'll be able to put it together and play some high-level basketball. But I think, Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. It speaks for himself. He's true to himself. He has nothing left to prove. He has an MVP. He has a finals MVP. He has 2 rings. He has a gold medal. He's arguably the most unstoppable scorer in NBA history, probably up there with Shaquille O'Neal and the number 1 guy on my list. And, I just think you can't argue against it. It's Kevin Durant. He's proven himself time and time again to be just this surreal, supremely talented individual. And, I think he deserves the recognition on being the number 2 best player in the league. I think he's been at number 2 for a long time. I think LeBron, maybe 2-3 seasons ago, probably handed the mantle off to the guy who I'm about to mention as number 1 best player in the league. And, I think KD has, always just been, he's been in the argument for sure for number 1. And he might have been able, certain years you could say he's number 1, but it's Kevin Durant. He's a champion. He's an all-star. He's a MVP. He's done it all. He's been it all. He's just been a super cool dude to watch and a cool guy. Great career to follow. As an NBA fan. And so for number 1 on this list, I have the one and only Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that is, not debatable. I think his 2021 playoff performance showed that. I think, this year they got injured with Chris Middleton going down in the playoffs against Boston. I think, they probably would have beat them. They probably would have gone to the finals and, done their damage, but it's too bad that he didn't get to go to the finals for a second year in a row and show everyone on the biggest stage the type of player he is. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's one of my favorite players of all time. His 2021 stats are unbelievable: 30 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, 1 steal, and 1.5 block per game. Just an all-around amazing player. People talk about his jump shot. They talk about his lack of a bag, and I can get into a whole rant about that. Players saying that guys like LeBron and Giannis don't have bags when literally LeBron is a 27 per game scorer, and Giannis is just average 30 points a game, playing some of the being one of the most game planned for coaches, developing entire defensive concepts against him, and the man still averages 30 a game. I really don't see why you guys think that Giannis doesn't have a bag per se. So just because a guy doesn't dribble like Kyrie Irving or Steph Curry doesn't mean he doesn't have a bag. That's a big misconception in the NBA. That's a big misconception for basketball fans specifically. The 2021 champion, the Finals MVP, Giannis. He's a two-time NBA MVP. He's won Defensive Player of the Year. He's been on all defensive teams. He's been on all NBA teams. He's true to himself. He's a true family guy. He really, puts on for his people. His brother's on his team. And he's currently carrying Greece. I know they're in the Eurobasket championships right now. They're in the semifinals, I believe, and he's, carrying that team as well, scoring 40 points per game and just going out there and showing the entire continent of Europe with the country, what we've seen over here in the States for the past 4 or 5 seasons is this man just dominating everyone. So I'm glad he's over there doing his thing. I hope he comes back healthy. I hope nothing bad happens to him because he is the best player in the NBA. And he has arguably the best story or journey to the NBA. I know that movie just came out called Rise on Disney. I just read his book by Miran Fader. I think it's just called Giannis, I believe. But that book's amazing. It talks about all the different things he's had to go through throughout his life. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the league. I really don't see many arguments against that. We can debate it. You can comment down below who you think it is. But that's my top 10. So I hope you like the list. I hope, if you have any notes on it, just feel free to let me know in the comments or on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever, however you want to get in touch with me. Just let me know. And, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I appreciate you liking this video and sharing it with your friends in advance, and looking forward to watching this upcoming NBA season and seeing a lot of these guys just, continue to be the amazing players and people that they are. And, I love the NBA. I think it's the best league in the world. And, I'm so grateful to be able to watch this game and to be watching these players. So hope you all have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Peace.
Boston Celtic fan? Oh, I'm sorry, man. Fuck that shit! Fuck that shit!